Hey guys, I'm going to make a video, just a quick one about septum piercing, basically how to care for it in general. Nobody's asked me to do this. I just thought that it would be kind of helpful because I do get a few questions asking me like what size I'm at and different things about my septum. So, about my septum piercing. I hate it whenever people just call it a septum because septum it's part of your body. It's not a freaking piercing. But so about my piercing. So I'm going to start showing you what I was at whenever I first got my piercing, if I can find it. I actually don't know where it is. Oh well. So you're going to see what size that I was at whenever I stretched for the first time. I think it was this one. None of the balls are on them. Whenever I got pierced, more than a year ago, and I decided to go for a 16 gauge because I saw the 16 and the 14 side by side whenever they asked me which one I wanted. And at the time, I saw 14 and I was like, that's way too big. 14 is way too big, you guys. So I chose the 16, which was stupid because I was gonna end up stretching it and it just one more step for me to go to. But this, I don't know how, almost got it, guys, almost got it. There we go. This is the 16, not 16, 14, sorry. This is the 14, the very first one that I stretched to, and because I can't find my 16. It's somewhere, I just don't know where. And the 16, whenever I got it pierced, it was a lot wider. So like the sides right here with the ball, how they curve in, the ones that I got the 16 and she bent it to where they kind of curved. So instead of a circle shape, it was just kind of like they were bent out a little bit so that I could flip it up into my nose. You can ask a piercer to do that. For those of you who actually want to hide your piercing, you can ask them to do that. You can tell them that you're planning, because my piercer asked me, she was like, are you going to hide it or are you not? And I said, at the time, I should have just said no because it would have looked better, but I was like, yeah, sure, I'll hide it. And so she bent it out a little bit more, and she was very meticulous, I guess you would say, about how she placed it. She didn't pierce me for the longest time. She just sat there and just kind of fiddled with the she fiddled with the jewelry a little bit and just like matched it up to my nose and made sure that it was going to work before she pierced me. I liked that piercer. The only thing about her that I did not like at all is that whenever she used the forceps on me, forceps are like, you hold it kind of like you would scissors, and they're kind of shaped like scissors, but they're not going to cut you, and it just holds your nose in place, and there's a circle so that the needle can slide through. So basically you can hold your nose and pull it out just a little bit so that you can pierce it. Anyway, she used the forceps on me and she squeezed the living crap out of them. And I guess she did it so that the pain, like I wouldn't feel the, or maybe she tried to numb it. I don't know what was going through her head. She was squeezing so hard and I asked her, I was like, man, these things hurt a lot. And she's like, I know, I'm squeezing the living hell out of them. And so I guess she did that either to numb it to where I wouldn't feel it, or to where I would be focusing on that pain instead of the needle. I don't know which was worse, but it hurt really bad whenever she did that. This is a taper. This probably, I don't know if this is the 16 to the 14 or the 14 to the, no, this is the 16 to the 14. It definitely is. So that's the 16 to the 14, and this, ooh. So this part is the one that you would slide in through your nose first, and it is not pointy, it's like rounded off, so it's not gonna like jab you or anything. It's not like a needle. But so then there's that part, and then about to maybe the middle right here is whenever it starts to get bigger. So it'll eventually stretch through, and then at the very end right here, I'm not sure if you can see it or not, I think you can, but it's called a concave taper. So what you would do is your jewelry fits directly inside of it, and then you just thread it through your nose. You hold this part. Sometimes whenever I get to the very end, I just hold this part instead of the actual taper, and then you just slide it through your nose and it goes in like that. Whoop. It goes in like that, and then just take it out. So, where'd it go? Whenever I stretch, I'll go get it. 1 second. So, whenever I stretch my nose, or whenever I would stretch my nose, because I don't think I'm going to do it anymore. I'm not sure. Don't hold me to it. But whenever I would stretch is I would use, different people suggest different things. Do not use Vaseline. I cannot remember the actual reason for that, but I know it's bad. Don't use water. Don't use spit. Don't use anything like that to stretch it. Water is really bad. Basically, people recommend some kind of like an oil-based lubricant. And what I used was vitamin E oil. And I think that I picked this up at, you can pick this up really anywhere. You can pick this up at like Walmart. I think I picked this up at Walmart. Target, CVS, any kind of drugstores sell it. But yeah, just vitamin E skin oil. Mine has like discoloration here for some reason, I don't know why. But it's just like, it doesn't smell bad, but it doesn't smell good. And it's just, it's basically like olive oil, like it's really kind of slick. And I would use this, dip it in there, put it all around the inside of my piercing, on both sides, and then right before, and then I would use the other side, dip it in there, and put it on the taper and the new piercing. So basically just oil everything. Try not to oil the parts that your hand will touch, because it makes it really hard to get a good grasp on stuff, and you can your hand could end up slipping, and it would just be more stressful. Because sometimes you're a little bit stressed whenever you stretch your nose. I know I've been a few times, because it's always scary. You never want to mess up. There's not very many ways you could mess up, but you could. Make sure that you also go slow. Don't be in a huge, what was I trying to say? Don't be in a huge hurry to stretch, like as you're stretching, not just in general, but don't be in a huge hurry. Don't like just shove it through. That is extremely bad, and you will hurt yourself a lot. But just be slow. Like, it's taken me, I think the longest that it's taken me in general is probably 45 minutes to do one stretch. And, you know, I mean, it doesn't matter. The slower the better. It's just listen to the way that your body is reacting, and if it doesn't hurt, then, you know, you can go a little bit faster, but if it hurts a lot, then just keep at it, but don't hurt yourself. It will hurt. I mean, it's not completely painless. The last 3 or so, maybe 4 stretches for me have been kind of painful, especially the last 2. Very, very painful. It doesn't start getting painful. It didn't for me, at least. Everybody's different. But it didn't start getting painful for me until I got to... I started feeling it more around 12, but 8 is whenever I was like, oh, hey, kind of hurts a little bit. And then 6 was like... From 8 to 6 was the absolute worst one, I think. And that's the way for most people, because it's such a big jump. I don't know if I have... yeah. You can see which one's bigger and which one's smaller. The smaller one is an 8, and the bigger one is a 6. And that is the first big jump that you're going to make. The rest of them, anything above 8 is not a big deal at all. You'll probably feel it, but it's not... If you feel excruciating pain with those, then I wouldn't recommend going to a 6. My food is getting cold. Through all of my stretches up until the recent one, I use tapers. I very much recommend tapers. I think they're pretty good, especially concave tapers. Make sure if you're doing your septum, I know some people do, you can do your ears with tapers that aren't concave, because you can just leave the tapers in your ears, but you can't leave the taper in your nose. So make sure that you get a concave taper. And then any of the jewelry, any of the like circular bar bells and stuff will fit into it, and I believe even some retainers will fit into it. The only retainer I ever had was this one, and this is a, the only taper I ever had was this one. It was a 6. I need to get me another one, because I like the way that this one is. I like the round shape as opposed to the square. Right now, I'm at a 4. I never thought that I would go this big, but whenever I was at a 6, whenever I first started stretching, I looked at the 6, because the stretching kit that I got went to a 6. It was from 14 gauge to 6, and it came with everything and the tapers and stuff. It was a Septum stretching kit. And I looked at the 6 and I was like, no way, I am never going this big. This is just ugly. I don't like it. But the way that I look at probably any stretching is that, like ears and anything, is that it's like tattoos. Once you start doing it, you want to just keep doing it and doing more of it. As far as time, I've been stretching it since I got it. I started stretching maybe, I think I waited four weeks or so before I started stretching my new piercing. So then I went to from the 16 to the 14. And I know that, and this is where people might get mad at me, but I stretched according to whenever it felt healed. I know that it may not have been healed, but it felt healed and it didn't hurt. So I started stretching probably after the first one. I waited maybe 2 weeks, and then I did another stretch from the 14 to the 12. And then I think I stayed at that for a little while. After that, I went to the 8, and I stayed at 8 for a pretty long time. Because 8, I just felt like it was a good size bigger than 12, and I was like, oh, this is pretty good. But I just kept looking at the 6, and I just kind of held it to my nose, and I was like, oh. That's what I did a lot. Before I did any stretching, I would just like hold it to my nose, just sit there for a second, just look in the mirror. But I would look at it for a while, and then what I did was I bought things like the retainer, and I bought it and I looked at it and I just kind of felt of it a little bit to see like the thickness. That sounds weird. And then I was like, okay, I think I'm gonna do it. So I did the 6, and the 6 was excruciatingly painful. It hurt really bad. So I just like I sat in front of my computer with a mirror in front of my face so that I could see, and I listened to Achievement Hunter Let's Plays because it kept my mind distracted. But I sat there and did that, and it took me, I think that was the longest one. It took me about 45 minutes, like I said earlier, and it hurt a lot. You reach that point where because about halfway through it starts getting bigger, and then a little bit towards the end of it, it just stays a consistent size. So it gets bigger, and then it just stays at one size the entire rest of the way through your nose. There we go. That one I remember hurting a lot more whenever the taper was going through my nose and the actual jewelry was going in, like that kind of like what would you call it? That like the edge of the taper like going through my nose hurt a lot. Where the heck did it go? Oh, there. The next one that I did was a 4. I did that with a pincher. Pinchers are these. This is the one that I stretched with. So you take these off, like just like that, and they come right off. And they're meant, because this thing right here, they're very slippery once they're inside of your nose. So once you get these things in, immediately they'll start to kind of like try to slide out. So that's why you have these little things right here, and then you just like put them to about like this, and then they'll stay in your nose. And then you just pull them out whenever you don't want them, and it slides right out. I'm not sure which one I would recommend, if I would recommend the pinchers or if I would recommend the tapers. It just really depends on what you want in your nose, I guess. The pinchers are, if you have a larger gauge, it won't really be quite as noticeable in your nose. My camera's about to die, guys, so I can't really say anymore. But I hope you found some of this maybe a little bit helpful if you were needing the advice. And yeah, I'll answer any questions that you may have. I have a stud in right now, one of these. That's the size that I have in right now. And I hope that you had a really good day, and